Welcome back to another Professional Picks college basketball video. We hit on our two video bets earlier in the week. We had Kansas State and Michigan State. Split on our two Twitter bets, featured on a card later in the video. But today we got our Saturday slate preview, as I promised, dropping on Friday morning. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Enjoying the videos. We are seeing some more comments lately. Really appreciate it. Just like interacting with you guys, but let's get into the content of this video. Like I said, 3-1 on the week so far. Started off with the loss on TCU, but 8 of our last 11 now have hit, including our final NFL bet. Shout out Woj for that one, but been hot. Trying to finish off the regular season strong, heading into the conference tournaments and then March Madness. We got our first ranked matchup to look at here at number 17, Indiana heading to Purdue. There's no line out yet, so I'm just going to look into the matchup, give my lean, what I might think the line is going to be here. But Purdue should be able to control this game, I think, just looking at it from a top level. Purdue's number 4 overall in KenPom. They're number 6 in offense, which is really impressive in the Big Ten, such a defensive-minded conference. Whereas Indiana's 24th overall, so Purdue's 20 overall spots ahead of them. And then they're 25th in offense, 43rd on defense. So they're almost similar teams in a way, but I think Purdue is much better. So Indiana won this matchup already at home. This is a revenge game for Purdue, which makes me like them even more. A plus for Indiana is Xavier Johnson might come back. He's been out for a while now. I think pushing Trey Galloway to the bench, starting Xavier Johnson with Jalen Hood-Schifino, provides a lot more offense for that team. Trey Galloway is a solid player. He's actually playing a lot better now. Last year, I didn't think he provided much for him, but I think he's actually becoming a good role player now, late into this season. But Xavier Johnson, senior guard on the road, would be a huge boost for them. Purdue's only lost one game at home, though. Mackey Arena, one of the toughest places to play in the entire country. It gets so loud in that dome there that have a true home court advantage. Only one loss at home. Indiana's awful on the road. 4-7 on the season, almost losing twice as many games on the road. If they win, I don't see how Purdue doesn't win this game. I'm not expecting it to be that close even. Both teams have a lot to play for. Purdue wants to win this game, get into that top 4 in the country bracket, so you get that 1 seed in March Madness. They got to finish out strong. They've lost 3 of their last 5. It's definitely falling off a little bit, but I think they're a great team still. I think they're just losing a little bit of focus, but lost now much better than in a couple weeks from now. On the other end, though, Indiana still has a lot to play for. They can end up in one of the top seeds in the Big Ten tournament and getting a bye or even falling to the 9 seed, just because how competitive it's been. Everybody's got a few losses, a few wins. Everybody's a little bit above 500, at least the teams are in the upper half of the conference. But like I said, these teams are very similar, but I just think Purdue's better. Both teams good on offense. They do enough on defense, but they rely heavily on their posts, and it's hard to take anybody over Zach Edey, who's the favorite for National Player of the Year right now. I think Purdue's going to be around -7.5, similar to that UConn at home against Providence game the other night. Ranked matchup, UConn -7.5, and they blew them out of the water. I get a similar feeling from this game. I think Purdue's going to be -7.5, -8 even. And if it goes lower, I think that's a sweet spot where you take Purdue, but I don't like betting on teams over 8 or 9, especially if both teams are ranked. So if you get a decent line on Purdue, under 7.5, I think you take that. Otherwise, maybe stay away from this game, maybe take a live bet, but I don't see how Indiana beats Purdue twice. I don't see it happening this season. But we got another matchup heading to the Big 12. Got Texas at Baylor. According to KenPom, Texas number 9, Baylor 14. So AP poll has them a little bit higher. but most of that's due to just how competitive and tough that Big 12 conference has been this year. Baylor losing their last two to Kansas State and Kansas. Hard to knock before it. Those are two great teams, the top of the Big 12. Uh, Baylor, real issue right now is they're not playing any defense. They've have the best offense in the Big 12, but they also have the worst defense in the Big 12. They rely heavily on that three-point shooting. And I had Adam Flagler as the X factor in that Kansas State video. And I said, if he goes cold, they probably won't win. That's exactly what happened. I have him here again as my X factor. Baylor takes a ton of threes between Flagler, Keontae George, and LJ Cryer. They got to be hitting. They are one of the best offenses in the country, though. They usually do hit. Difference maker here is their defense needs to figure it out. I think those last two pretty big losses will be an eye opener, and I think they turn it around at home finally. Similar to last game, Baylor 13-2 at home on the season. Texas 4-4 on the road. Maybe not as great of a difference, but if you're not betting on home teams in these close games this season, then you're basically throwing money away. Home teams have been dominating, and yes, there's a good home court advantage from the crowd, but the refs clearly favor the home team in every single college basketball game I've watched this year. There's not a game where I could tell you I didn't see it going the other way. I'm really hoping Baylor is around -2.5, -3 here, with Texas being the higher rated team, playing better in conference and just better of late. So I think we get a -2, -3 line here. That'd be perfect to take Baylor, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's like -4, -5. And then I think that's where it gets iffy. Because, I mean, Texas, clearly a great team. They're tied in first for the conference with Kansas right now. Both teams have a ton to play for. But Jonathan Chachua, obviously, he's been back for a little bit now. I think he's getting more comfortable. They got to slowly get him into that rotation, and I think he needs to still play some more minutes. Work, just get more comfortable on the offensive end. Though he's been fine on the defensive end. I think his offense is where they're lacking a little bit, just because they rely so heavily on their three-point shooting game. Texas, very athletic, great defensive team. And I owe an apology to Marcus Carr. I was trashing his inefficiency over the last few years and how I think he's overrated, but he's completely showed me up that he's averaging over 17 points, shooting his highest field goal percentage on the season. He's been great for him. Really just, keeping Texas alive the whole season with the whole coaching deal with Chris Beard getting fired. It's pretty impressive how they've been able to keep that together. Regardless, I think that Texas relies heavily on their forwards defensively, such as Timmy Allen, Dylan Mitchell, Dylan Disu. That's their real strength. They're super athletic. They're going to stay in front of you, make you make tough shots. But that's what Baylor's good at. They're great at three-point shooting. They're going to make those tough shots. Keontae George is pretty much always covered, and he'll hit anything. Adam Flagler, give him a couple feet of space, he'll hit the three. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be much closer than our last matchup, but I like Baylor a lot here to turn it around after getting blown out in their last two. Plus, they're at home. Texas is good, but just take the home team in these close matchups. I don't see Texas putting up enough points here to stay in this one. I think Baylor still gets their buckets where they need them. Marcus Carr, great player, like I said, but him and then Tyrese Hunter, I don't see him shutting out the Baylor guards. You need a better defensive player in the backcourt in this one. So Baylor's the lean here. I'm hoping for a closer to even spread around -2, -3, -4 or 5 range. Iffy for sure. In our last game, heading to the West Coast Conference. Haven't talked about these teams in a little bit, but St. Mary's, Gonzaga, top 15 matchup. St. Mary's on the road here, and actually in first place of the conference. I didn't check it out, but this would have to be the first time Gonzaga didn't win conference in a very long time. So they're obviously going to be playing all out for this one. But looking at the numbers a little bit here, Ken Palm has St. Mary's at number 8, actually ahead of Gonzaga. And he's Gonzaga at number 13. So even a little bit lower than the AP poll. So Ken Palm, according to his advanced analytics, he has St. Mary's is a better team in this matchup. St. Mary's, it has the 7th overall defense in the country, which, yes, the conference isn't the best, but honestly, the West Coast Conference is a little bit better than it has been in the last few years. Um, like Santa Clara is solid. Obviously, St. Mary's Gonzaga is always good, but it's not awful. The 7th overall defense in the country is always impressive, no matter what. On the flip side, Gonzaga has the number 1 offense in the country, but at the same time, Gonzaga has the 87th best defense, which is much lower than what I expected, and kind of on par with that Baylor defense for a top team in the country. That defense is a little bit suspect. So we talk about it every video. St. Mary's defense should travel well in this one. Obviously, you can't shut down Timmy, but you're gonna have some bodies down there between like Alex Bowen, Mitchell Saxon. They have some guys who could at least slow Timmy down. That's why I have Julian Strawther here as the X factor. I mean, Timmy's gonna get his points, but Julian Strawther's just too inconsistent for me. I know he's an NBA prospect, but relies somewhat heavy on his jump shot. And I think he just gets lost in the offense sometimes. He'll get really aggressive. If he misses a couple, he can kind of get lost in the rotation between all those options. And then leaning into that a little bit more, St. Mary's plays at one of the slowest paces in the entire country, while Gonzaga wants to play fast. And it's always easier to slow the game down than it is to speed it up, unless you're pressing them and you could turn St. Mary's over, which I don't think is going to happen in this one. St. Mary's should be able to slow it down, take longer possessions on their end. And with their 7th overall defense, they should at least be able to hold their own against Gonzaga. I think this one's going to be a little bit lower scoring, and just a real grinded out battle between the two. Um, Looking further into it, St. Mary's 6-1 on the road this year. It's tough to assess with this conference, though. Obviously, there's some good teams at the top, but it falls off a lot when you get towards the bottom. Regardless, though, 6-1 on the road, solid number. Pretty sure Gonzaga even has 2 losses at home on the year, so I like St. Mary's a lot. I don't know what the line's going to be. I'm hoping you get them around +4-ish. If it's even more, I think you hammer them. I love the St. Mary's spread in this game, especially with you're just everyday better. You're going to throw money on Gonzaga almost no matter what. But St. Mary's is a very good team this year. They got a ton of depth. Alex Dukas, good defender, good 3-point shooter. Forget the freshman's name, but they have a freshman too from California. They're very solid for them, and they have the size to even match up with Gonzaga. I think you're going to get a +4 line here. It could be even more with how much people want to bet on Gonzaga, but my lean here is definitely St. Mary's. And it wasn't initially going into the video, but after looking at some stats, that top-ranked defense, slowing down the pace, they just play good basketball to keep the game close. And if you have plus money on that team, that's a good recipe to win the game. But thank you guys for watching. Just jump to our promo real quick. As always, we have a partnership with Prize Picks. You can see there on the left, they'll match your first deposit up to $100 using the promo code PROPICKS. It's a daily fantasy app. You can use it in betting the legal states. Give it a look if you haven't already. Just another way to start getting involved in these games. Thanks for watching again. Quick rundown. I think Purdue is going to get a pretty big spread in their favor. Get anything less than -7.5. I think Purdue's the play there. Also think Baylor's going to beat Texas at home. I'm guessing around a -2.5, -3 point spread in that one. Anything more gets a little iffy, but I like Baylor in that one. And then I think St. Mary's is going to beat Gonzaga. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong, but +4.5, +5.5. Advanced Analytics has them as the better team right now. Play great defense, slow it down. Expecting a close game. St. Mary's spread seems like a good play. Let me know what you guys are taking in the comments. Any games I might have missed that you want to look at. But as always, thank you for watching, and I wish everybody good luck this weekend.